Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back for some more competitive double battles in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Today's video is going to be exciting because I'm going to be utilizing a team that features Choice Band normal Tera type Dragonite. Now, Dragonite historically has not really been a very common Pokemon in competitive VGC, and I think that it really has the chance to shine in the Scarlet and Violet format, and that's because it gets access to normal Tera plus Choice Band Extreme Speed, making a really potent sweeper, especially in the end game. And so, as always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps in the description below, and thank you so much, as always, for watching. If you enjoy, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps out the channel a ton. And if you're brand new to the channel, welcome. My name is Aaron, and I do competitive VGC battles all the time, so hope you consider subscribing. Also, just wanted to say a quick thank you because on Thanksgiving Day, this channel actually had the most amount of daily views that I've ever had in my history of making YouTube videos in 8 years, and that feels super surreal to me. I can feel the excitement for the brand new generation. I'm having so much fun making these videos, so just wanted to say I really appreciate all of you for coming out and watching these. So yeah, let's talk about the team. So we have to start with Dragonite on this team. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Dragonite sadly has not really seen as much usage as its pseudo-legendary dragon counterparts in competitive VGC, whether it be Garchomp, Salamence, Hydreigon, or Dragapult. And that's often because Dragonite just wasn't the best option for what it wanted to do in its respective formats. However, now it gets access to some brand new tools in the normal Tera type plus Choice Band Extreme Speed combination. It also has Inner Focus as an ability, which is absolutely incredible because Inner Focus prevents flinches and it prevents the potential intimidates and attack drops. And so as a result, the Dragonite doesn't have to worry about having its attack drop immediately as it goes for something like a Tera normal Choice Band Extreme Speed. And so I think that this generation might be the best for Dragonite in competitive VGC, and it's not like there's really stiff competition. It just really didn't see very much usage at all in previous years. The other cool thing about Dragonite is that there's so many different ways to run it. This is a Choice Band set, but I've definitely seen special-oriented sets. I've seen setup-oriented sets. I've even seen bulky support sets. And so I talked about Dragonite in a recent video where I covered a lot of the returning Pokemon, and I think this is one of the more flexible Pokemon in the format. But for now, I see a lot of people using normal Tera type plus something like Choice Band or Life Orb to maximize your damage output from Extreme Speed. So the idea is that you just have access to a priority attack that does so much damage, and even against fairly bulky Pokemon, if they don't resist it or they're not immune to it, I feel like it does, 40 to 50%-ish. You combine that with Chien-Pao on this team with its ability Sword of Rune, which lowers the defense set of all other active Pokemon, and Dragonite just does even more damage on top. And so there's really nice natural synergy between these two Pokemon. It's a fairly strong lead combination if you're using this team. And so otherwise you have good coverage between Dragon Claw, Fire Punch, and Iron Head. Don't discount using Dragon Claw because of course you get the same type attack bonus from it. And one combination I really like with this team is just Volcarona plus Dragonite. The Volcarona here is a Choice Scarf variant, and so it can just set up Tailwind immediately. Often people don't expect a Choice Scarf on it, and so it sets up Tailwind immediately. Yeah, Dragonite's slower here, but under Tailwind, it has enough speed investment to essentially outspeed everything in the format that doesn't have like a Choice Scarf or a speed boost already. And so the idea is then Dragonite can outspeed and pick up big knockouts on things like Dragapult or Garchomp, for example, with Dragon Claw. Otherwise, you have just good general coverage with Fire Punch and Iron Head here. So Chien-Pao Dragonite, Volcarona Dragonite, they're both really solid lead combinations in my opinion. And so talked a little bit about Chien-Pao. This is just a really offensive set. The idea is that you have Icy Wind for speed control. This is one of the fastest Pokemon in the format. And then you have good general damage between Icicle Crash, Sucker Punch, and Sacred Sword. And it's just jolly max attack, max speed. The next Pokemon to talk about here is Tyranitar. This is a fairly offensive Tyranitar, as you can see, and it carries the Life Orb item with Dragon Dance, Rock Slide, Crunch, and Protect. And so this is a strong combination where you could lead something like the Iron Hands plus the Tyranitar or the Amoonguss plus the Tyranitar. Just go for something like a Rage Powder into a Dragon Dance or a Fake Out into a Dragon Dance, and then you can just put on a lot of pressure immediately. Tyranitar and Volcarona is also one of the recommended combinations with this team in terms of leads with Chien-Pao and Dragonite in the back. And so I actually think there's a ton of flexibility in playing with this team. In fact, when I played with it, I didn't necessarily just follow like the recommended lead combinations by the original team creator. By the way, huge thank you to Toshi Kyogre for building this team and for sharing it online. I've linked their Twitter down in the description below, as well as the rental code and a paste courtesy of them as well. So we talked about the Tyranitar now. Moving on, Amoonguss here is fairly standard. I think with Amoonguss in this generation, you can run Clear Smog because there is a fair amount of setup and it helps against things like Tatsuguri as well, for example. But Foul Play is always just kind of consistent. Amoonguss here does have the Dark Tera type as well, so that helps against Psychic Pokemon. You can turn into Dark Tera, be immune to the Psychic type attack, and then get a Spore off in return. Finally, you've got the Choice Scarf Volcarona. I talked about this a little bit earlier, mainly used for that Tailwind, but sometimes Choice Scarf Heat Wave is just good damage across the board, and there are a lot of Pokemon that don't take Heat Wave super well in this format, and, you know, there's just a lot of good damage here, right? Like, Volcarona has Heat Wave, Tyranitar has Rock Slide, Chien-Pao has Ice Cold Crash, like, all of these Pokemon are offensive outside of Amoonguss, which is a nice contrast to the last team I featured with Garganacl, in which only one Pokemon had any attack or special attack investment. The final Pokemon to talk about here is Iron Hands. This is just a max HP, max special defense set since your base HP and defense are already so high. The one thing to note here is, yeah, its base speed isn't already that great, and so even under Tailwind, Iron Hands is often going to be slower than a fair amount of the Pokemon that you run into, but after Tailwind, this outspeeds a lot of the, you know, slower / bulkier Pokemon that will normally outspeed it, which is handy. And so pretty standard moveset, Fake Out, Close Combat, Wild Charge, and Protect, just good utility and incredible damage output across the board, and you've got the Cork Drive here since you don't have it on any other Pokemon, and there's no other Paradox Pokemon on the team. So, yeah. The original team creator mentioned Chien-Pao and Dragonite was a great lead combination, or Tyranitar plus Amoonguss or Tyranitar plus Volcarona are strong, but honestly, in my experience, there are just so many different ways to play with the team, so yeah, excited to see what we can do, and more importantly, excited to feature Dragonite's potential in competitive doubles in Scarlet and Violet. So, let's get started. Okay, I'm liking the look of our opponent's team. They've got Paradox Amoonguss, Paradox Hariyama, Dodonzo, Tatsuguri, Mimikyu, and Torkoal. It looks like a really strong team, honestly. There's a Trick Room component to it for sure with the Paradox Hariyama and Mimikyu. You just fake out Trick Room, bring out Torkoal, and go for, yeah, just boosted eruptions. It's where Dragonite actually can be really interesting thanks to the extreme speed with Choice Band. I can't really deny Trick Room. Well, it depends on the Mimikyu set. If they're safety goggles, then I can't Spore it, because otherwise I kind of want to lead with my Paradox Hariyama and Amoonguss, try to counter their potential Trick Room setup, and then in the back go with Dragonite and Tyranitar. I think like both Volcarona and Chien-Pao here just don't make too much sense. Volcarona mainly you'd want to use to like set up Tailwind or spam Heat Waves, but given that they're a much slower paced team, I don't think we want to bring it. Chien-Pao is always valuable for the defense drop, but I think the 4 that we're bringing here makes sense to me overall. But I think this is a really strong team for my opponent's end, so I'm eager to see what they have. Typically the nature of a matchup like this is we have a lot of hyper offense, but we're a lot faster. They have Trick Room, so it feels like if they get Trick Room up, I'm going to be in a really tough spot. To me, the big question is the Mimikyu, because honestly, I would expect Mimikyu to have Taunt or Safety Goggles. Could be Grass Tera as well, for example. But it's going to be Tatsuguri and Mimikyu. Okay. So with this, we'll get Cork Drive immediately, increasing our attack. What do I want to do here? Like, I guess the first thing I want to see is, do you have Spore? Do you have Safety Goggles or Taunt? Like, I'm willing to still attack into it here. I don't want to just assume they have it on Choice C otherwise. Okay, so we get a free Fake Out into Tatsuguri. They actually just Will-O-Wisp us. Okay, I'll take that trade. Unless they're Safety Goggles. Let's see. So we get the burn. There's the flinch. And, okay, cool. We actually successfully Spore Mimikyu. That's a pretty big deal in itself. Okay. I'm not really worried about Tatsuguri in this position. I'm down to just go for a Wild Charge here into Mimikyu, because I could see it switching out right now into maybe Dodonzo. So I could Spore a Foul Play this turn, I think. The question is which one I want to go for. Yeah, I'm down to cover for the switch here. Okay, they just stay in, but that's fine. We'll break Disguise here. Mainly curious what Tatsuguri is going to go for. Okay, it has Taunt. That makes sense. We'll get Wild Charge. That'll break Disguise. Honestly, a Wild Charge and a Foul Play might just KO Mimikyu next turn. So that's what I'm leaning towards going for. We are burnt, but it's not the end of the world. I could consider switching Amoonguss out here as well. But yeah, I think I'm down for Wild Charge and Foul Play here, honestly. The main thing is they don't have that much offense right now relative to us. Like, I feel like their main sweepers are maybe Dodonzo, Torkoal. So, Choice Band Dragonite with the extreme speed can look really good. And we also have Tyranitar in the back. I think she just go for a Muddy Water. Okay, that's fine. Not too much damage on Ty there. Let's get an accuracy drop. Okay, we get Wild Charge. That is still a lot of damage even with the burn. Wow. That's, of course, helps that we have the attack boost. And it's actually a Berry Mimikyu. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's not an item you'd see too frequently on Mimikyu. Let's see if they wake up here. Ah, they're going for Trick Room. Okay, and they stay asleep. So that makes me think they have Torkoal and Dodonzo in the back, personally. I'm down to just Wild Charge here. Lost of Taunt. Actually, I mean, Foul Play would just KO Mimikyu here, right? So, like, why not just go for Close Combat onto Tatsuguri and then Foul Play onto Mimikyu? That seems okay. Their lead is just really passive. Okay, Mimikyu manages to wake up. They're just going to get Play Rough off, so that is going to KO me. But that's okay. I don't mind that trade too much. Okay, Hariyama faints. Maybe just another Muddy Water? Yeah. Okay, onto Amoonguss. And Foul Play here will KO Mimikyu. So it's been an interesting trade so far. Now I get a free switch into either Tyranitar or the Dragonite. Taunt does wear off, which is pretty sweet. I think I'm down to go into Dragonite here. They actually bring out Iron Hands. Okay. Well, this feels like a position where maybe... I mean, here you could fake out into Dragonite and then just taunt into Amoonguss, right? I want a Tera, but not right now. Maybe they didn't bring Dodonzo. I would have expected it to come out. Like, if they were going for Trick Room earlier, that makes me think Torkoal's their final Pokemon, which would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think here I want to go for... Maybe we don't Tera this turn, right? Oh, but they... I guess... Oh, not trying to run. Like, I guess Iron Hands could fake out Amoonguss and Tatsuguri could target Dragonite. I'm down to go for Extreme Speed here. And then actually switch out into Tyranitar. Because the thing is, I'm expecting Amoonguss to get taunted here anyway. This is slightly risky, I suppose, because maybe they actually, like, double up onto the Dragonite slot. But I think you really have to cover for Amoonguss Spore here. And this puts me in a really nice spot going into the next turn, in my opinion. I guess what's always scary about turns like this, though, is that what if they have a reactionary Tera to have a way to, like, counter the Dragonite, right? Also, by going for Tera this turn, if I'm getting hit by Fake Out, then my opponent knows my Tera typing going into next turn. Yeah, so they do Fake Out that slot. But, yeah, we are actually immune to Flinch because of Inner Focus, which I had actually briefly forgotten about. So, Extreme Speed does just under 50% to Hariyama, or Iron Hands, I should say. Because of Inner Focus, actually, was that my best play? It probably would have been better to just stay in with the Amoonguss and Rage Powder to cover for Tatsuguri having some surprise attack. Honestly thinking Extreme Speed and Crunch probably get the KO here onto Iron Hands, so I'm down to double up onto that slot. So Choice Band Extreme Speed once again, coming out. Beautiful. And we are faster, excellent, and Crunch gets the KO. Nice. Okay. Now we're normal typing. I don't have to worry as much about a dragon type attack from Tatsuguri. They've only revealed Taunt and Muddy Water so far. Just gonna be another Muddy Water. Okay. Well, let's see what their final Pokemon is. I'm expecting Torkoal. I don't love the accuracy drop there, but it is what it is. Yeah, like, I'm expecting Torkoal given that they tried to set up Trick Room with Mimikyu earlier, but maybe it is Dodonzo. Yeah, it is Torkoal. Okay. Cool, that works for me. So they changed the weather into sunlight. The accuracy drop, like I said, scares me a little bit. Because there, I kind of want to just go for extreme speed onto Torkoal. I should probably consider switching Tyranitar out here, but I'm thinking extreme speed and rock slide maybe just KOs the Torkoal here. I could also go for extreme speed to try to KO Tatsuguri. I'm just worried about Torkoal Eruption right now, and I want to lower its damage output. So I'm actually just going to extreme speed and rock slide here onto Torkoal. They're going to go for Tera. I would expect it to be Tera Fire Torkoal, personally. Just what most players are using. So the idea here is, yeah, if I'm expecting to be Tera Fire, and I expect them to go for Eruption, I guess the problem is a Heat Wave here maybe KOs Tyranitar from the range that I'm at, which is scary. Ooh, they have Helping Hand as well. Okay. Well, Extreme Speed doesn't miss, which is good. So here's Choice Band normal Extreme Speed into Torkoal. That's amazing damage. And Rock Slide doesn't miss either. Beautiful. Dragonite is such a beast. Oh, I was able to just distribute so much damage here across the board. So, yeah, this thing can be incredible. I think ultimately, my opponent just didn't have too many offensive options. Like, between Mimikyu, Tatsuguri, they had Iron Hand, so that would have been their best means of offense. But yeah, Mimikyu and Tatsuguri just really weren't doing too much damage. Although I guess Mimikyu actually did knock out my Iron Hands. But this matchup was interesting because I felt like they had two modes you can play towards, like Mimikyu Torkoal or Dodonzo plus Tatsuguri, but they didn't bring Dodonzo. So as a result, it was more them trying to get Mimikyu and Torkoal up, but it was awkward for them, right? Because it's like you have to worry about Amoonguss and Spore. And Mimikyu to Citrus Berry, that's why for Mimikyus, I really think something like Safety Goggles is a valuable item, because then you can just wall opposing Amoongus's. And Amoonguss is just, I think, going to be a really strong Pokemon, as it has been in really every VGC format that it's been in. So, yeah. Either way, though, I think that game highlighted just the nice strength of priority choice band extreme speed from Dragonite. Really being able to do, like, 40 to 50% to even bulky Pokemon like Torkoal and Iron Hands. Alright. For this one, we've got a lot of cool physical Pokemon. We've also got the Garganacl, which we just featured. This feels like a really solid Dragonite Chien-Pao game, honestly. Like, Volcarona set up Tailwind, Dragonite just starts clicking Dragon Claw, Chien-Pao in the back, and then probably Iron Fist as the fourth. Iron Fist, Hariyama, Paradox Hariyama. Yeah, and the idea is we can just distribute a lot of damage across the board. We can generally outpace them. We have super effective damage, but they've got a bunch of new Pokemon I'm still not familiar fighting against. So, just being Garchomp and Dragonite, though. This is where the idea of defensive Tera is really interesting, if either of these have a defensive Tera. Like, I'm kind of down to Tailwind here, and then actually just Tera, just to avoid getting knocked out by a Dragon-type attack from their end. Would I rather KO Garchomp or Dragonite? Probably Garchomp. So Tailwind, Tera to survive, KO Garchomp. But I think if they're Focus Sash Garchomp here, for example, that could be really bad. I don't know if, like, it probably actually made more sense to lead Chien-Pao in this matchup, so I think my lead was already slightly suboptimal. Especially their willingness to lead Dragonite plus Garchomp. Like, I think their whole team is just relatively Chien-Pao weak, so Chien-Pao Dragonite could have been fairly strong for me. Where then I can just thread an Ice Cold Crash Dragon Claw with Tera turn 1 on Dragonite and pick up a potential double KO. But Scarf Volcarona gets the Tailwind off first. No Protects, no Teras from their end, so we'll see if they're Focus Sash on Garchomp. If not, this should just pick up a one-hit KO. Okay, they're not sashed. Cool. Nice job, Dragonite. Their Dragonite sets up Light Screen. Okay. So probably expecting my Dragonite to be special, which makes sense, but I think support Dragonite is not going to help them very much right now, unfortunately. Especially with Choice Band Dragon Claw coming out from my Dragonite. This next turn I can look towards pivoting Volcarona out into either the Hariyama or the Chien-Pao. And go from there. Garganacl comes out. I mean, this thing is a pretty big problem for me, actually. Yeah, it's actually really annoying. The good thing is Light Screen doesn't really matter here. I think I will go into the Hariyama and Dragon Claw Dragonite. Then I can at least fake out Garganacl and force it to essentially be like a 4v1 kind of end game. But yeah, my opponent's team is just fairly Dragon weak, I think. But I really have to respect Garganacl setting up in the late game. But between Hariyama and Chien-Pao, I think we'll have multiple ways to deal with it. Okay. Nice. Get Dragon Claw off. That's another one-hit KO. Dragonite's going off in this one. And that's the cool thing about Scarf Tailwind, by the way, right? You don't really expect that immediately. So, yeah, there's Iron Defense. This thing's going to be kind of annoying to deal with, but we have Sacred Sword to ignore the defense boost on Chien-Pao as well. It's Iron Valiant is their last one. Okay. That looks so cool, by the way. Oh my gosh. Very fighting. Yeah, this Garganacl could still totally sweep me. Very fighting. Okay, I'm down to, like, Dragon Claw is just not doing anything right now, so I feel the need to switch out. And by switching out here, I also get a stronger Fake Out off. But essentially what I'm trying to do is force the 1v4 situation I was talking about earlier, but I am actually fairly worried about beating Garganacl. Like, I think this thing can just set up on my team entirely. Which is funny, because I just used this Pokemon. We know how strong it is. Okay, they're going to Tera as well. I'm curious if it's Garganacl Terraing, because it could be like Grass Tera. Yep, it is Tera. What is it? That looks like grass, I think? No, it's water? Water! Well, I have Wild Charge for that. I don't think that's too bad, honestly. Huge damage from Fake Out. They Body Press, okay. We have Sash. Water is really interesting. I mean, that thing might legit just body my whole team at this point. I mean, we do have Wild Charge, though. Like, I don't mind a Protect into an Ice Cold Crash here. I just don't know if Iron Valiant can potentially survive the Ice Cold Crash. There's Protect. Okay, we don't miss, which is good. Nice. And that's just a KO. Okay, nice. Body Press again, maybe? Yeah. That was a waste. I think a Wild Charge there actually may have just won me the game. Like, it wouldn't KO immediately, but then it's in KO range from another Wild Charge. But I think it's still fine. Dylan Peter's out. You're water typing. Just go for Dragonite. Maybe it was better to bring out Volcarona because I have extreme speed on that, but Wild Charge here. Sorry, not extreme speed. Bug Buzz. Alright, let's see how much damage we do. This thing's at +2 defense. I'm not expecting that much from either Pokemon, but honestly, that was a decent amount from Dragonite. I'll take it. Super effective Wild Charge. Okay. Do they go for another Iron Defense? No, they actually just Body Press. Okay, they needed to Iron... Oh. One... I did forget I was normal. I mean, I don't think I would have changed the way I played that turn. I think we win now, though, because we just Bug Buzz and Wild Charge. Yeah, like your leftovers, but Light Screen wore off earlier. Yeah, or sorry, it's about to wear off. Yeah. So, Bug Buzz should do enough where Wild Charge finishes it off, I think. There's Wild Charge. There's Bug Buzz. Dragonite was awesome in this one, though, right? It shows that you don't necessarily just need to rely on the extreme speed, and yeah, that's enough for the KO. You don't need to just rely on extreme speed. Having Choice Band Dragon Claw next to Tailwind support can be really valuable in a format where there's so many people that like to use Dragon-type Pokemon. So, yeah, another interesting application of how Dragonite could be utilized. Okay, I like this a lot because there's a bunch of new Pokemon here I actually haven't fought in against, and I think that the Golden Pokemon, which name I still have to learn, is really solid. Palafin is also just fairly interesting, especially in VGC, because I think it's probably not nearly as oppressive as it is in single battles, but I think it has a lot of potential behind it. So, yeah, what do we want to do here? I'm just excited to fight against this. So, Golden Goal is 84 speed, 133 special attack. Palafin can be annoying. really know what to lead here. They have a good mix of offense and defense. Steel Ghost. Intuitively, I think Scarf Volcarona, but I'm worried about getting dunked on by Palafin. Scarf Volk. How do I beat Golden Goo? Golden Goo? Steel Ghost. I mean, Dark. Volcarona, Tyranitar, Chien-Pao, Dragonite. Let's go with that. I'm excited to fight this team, though, because, yeah, I think Golden Go is a Pokemon I expect to see a decent amount in competitive. But, yeah, I think it's, one of the harder Pokemon to obtain in-game at the moment, so no surprise we haven't run into one yet. But, yeah, they have a lot of interesting threats. It's Grimmsnarl and Paradox Salamence. So, I could go for Booster Energy, attack, presumably. No, it's speed, actually. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh man, this thing probably has acrobatics. You could just acrobatics Volcarona for a KO. Oh, that's really bad. I don't even have a switch into that. I mean, I'll try to Bug Buzz here and just Rock Slide, but this is already looking kind of tough. Could be Tera Immense as well. Oh, and they have Fake Out. That's really bad. Flame Body comes out, though, which is fairly lucky on a Grim. Oh, interesting. I don't know if they really needed to double up onto that slot. Oh, but I miss Rock Slide as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised to see them double up onto that slot. We're lucky that at least they didn't have acrobatics, but I feel like if they just faked out Tyranitar... I don't know, like maybe they just didn't want Volcarona to get a Tailwind up. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. They're probably worried about Tailwind from that end, so that makes total sense. They could have Sucker Punch here. I guess I'll click Tailwind and Rock Slide. The Mist didn't really do any favors, but... Good Reflect, yeah. I think, like, the team we're using here relies fairly hard on these really strong physical attackers. Volcarona's being an absolute monster, though. It's burning everything in Flame Body. That is one of the risks of, you know, clicking multiple physical attacks onto that slot, but we're having a really good burn ratio. Or burn rate, I should say. My problem now is, so it's like, okay, I set up... I never set up Tailwind. You have Reflect up. I mean, I'm chipping away at everything, which is good, but... If I bring out Chien-Pao, I think I'd rather go Dragonite here. Dragonite, Tera into normal. And E-Speed into single target Rock Slide. I want to get rid of Grimmsnarl because I don't want it to get speed control onto my Dragonite, or not speed control, like Thunder Wave, for example, and parrying it means it'd be harder for me to attack in subsequent turns. So I'd rather just eliminate that from the field. Anyway, though, I'm not thinking long-term enough because the problem is now Golden Go in the back is a pretty big problem to go up against because neither of my Pokemon really effectively deal with it. So... I think this was me just, one, not having great answers to Reflect, and then two, not putting on enough offensive pressure onto their Paradox Salamence early on. If I have to evaluate. Okay, it's okay, Grimmsnarl. I could have been Dragon Dancing this whole time with Tyranitar as well, by the way. Just Dragon Claw, yep. It was a crit, but I feel like that's totally fair given that I was lucky enough to even get a burn. Rock Slide there, single target, we'll actually just pick up the KO. So we have a lead, but I am worried now about Golden Go coming out, because I think that can actually just completely sweep me right now. Actually, I am just going to get swept by that, right? Like, how would I even beat it if they had it in the back right now? I needed to conserve Volcarona, which is also probably why my opponent aggressively targeted Volcarona in the early game. That's also not a good Pokemon to go up against. Yeah, this is probably just them sweeping me now. well managed. Like, how could I have played better against Scrim plus Mens? Probably leading... No, but they had a faster fake out. Amoongus probably needed to actually come out here. Because they don't have that... But, like, they could have Taunt on Grimmsnarl, for example. I'm not sure. Anyway, how in the world do I win this? I'm up against 2 ghosts, so Tera Dragonite was a terrible decision. I should have thought more about the long term, because it's not like I even needed the extra damage output. I just wanted a Tera to take less damage from the Dragon type attack, but because they were burnt, that didn't really make too much sense anyway. The right Tera here was probably Tera this, I would think. I think I gotta sacrifice you, honestly. Protect. Yeah, like, I can't let Chien-Pao take any unnecessary damage. But, yeah, this was just a bad Tera. Because at least Chien-Pao Terraing would have given me more damage output from its Ice-type attacks. But this was just tough, because it was like they set up Reflect, and then they just have all these really strong Pokemon that I can't break through very easily. They go for Make It Rain into Tyranitar. Yep. This is a great play by my opponent, because... oh, actually, never mind. That's spread. I mean, it's still a great play. But I was like, it's a cool play if you specifically target Tyranitar, ignoring Dragonite, preventing me from switching it out for free. So at least now I get to switch out, but... I am probably going to still need a flinch or a crit or something in order to win this one. And I like it, because my opponent just conserved 2 Pokemon with really good spread damage in this endgame, right? Which I think is very smart. So Chien-Pao comes out, lowers their defenses. Steel Ghost. Oh, I have Icy Wind. I think I'm going to go for the Icy Wind win con. So Icy Wind here and Crunch. And hope for a Crunch crit. But they could Tera now. Yeah. I needed to think more long-term in this game. Volcarona was actually way too important to give up as early as it did. Because that was really my only good Golden Go answer. And that's Steel Tera, which is just going to end me now. Yeah. That's really cool, though. I have no shame in losing to this. And glad to learn about what it can do. Dazzling just brings me down to Sash, yeah. And conserving their Tera here essentially just guaranteed them the victory. There was no way I was going to be able... Well, what if I, like... No, with Reflect up, I don't think, like... I would need, like, double crit Sacred Sword and Crunch, maybe. Even then, I'm not sure. Oh, and they're still faster anyway. Okay. I get to Make It Rain off. Cool. Well, that was a really cool team. You know, uses a lot of really all the new Pokemon plus Grimmsnarl. I think the early Paradox Salamence just put in work. I think my Volcarona lead was relatively ineffective. So I do want to think about where I could have improved in that game because, yeah, it felt fairly one-sided and pretty dominant on my opponents, and that's even with lucky Flame Body burns as well, right? So I think to start, Tyranitar maybe had opportunities to Dragon Dance. I could have capitalized off that. Like, I had multiple turns where I could have clicked Dragon Dance instead of Rock Slide. I was just trying to get damage across the board. 2, I didn't really think about the long term, right? Like, they had Golden Go, but, like, I didn't really think about how can I beat this in the end game, and by losing Volcarona as early as I did, that was really bad. 3, the lead just wasn't great. In the end, they didn't have Acrobatics, but if it was Booster Energy plus Acrobatics on the Paradox Salamence, that would have been a complete disaster for me as well. And I think Grim and Paradox Mence was just tough to go up against, and so my counter to that probably would be, like I mentioned, Chien-Pao plus... What do I want to pair it next to? Chien-Pao Volcarona is somewhat interesting. You can only fake out one of those 2. The problem is, like, they have a faster fake out thanks to Grimmsnarl. I think Amoongus, yeah, Chien-Pao Amoongus is probably the adjustment I would make and start spreading spores across the board. The problem for me there is if the Grimmsnarl has Taunt or if the Acrobatics indeed was on the Salamence, but I'm guessing it didn't because if you had it, you would have gone for it onto Volcarona. So, yeah. I think it was tricky because it's like they have a faster fake out user, they have really good offense, but then they have great defense with the Reflect as well in the Grimmsnarl. So it's like as long as they get the Reflect up, the team we're using is so physically oriented outside of Volcarona that I'm just not able to pick up the one-hit knockouts that I'm normally trying to pick up. But, yeah. I think Golden Goo is going to be a really good Pokemon, as with all the Pokemon that they had there. So, no shame in losing that one for sure. Okay, this looks like another kind of Trick Room-oriented team, but they do have 2 really fast Pokemon in Chien-Pao on their side, as well as the Paradox Mischievous. Huh, this is interesting, because on one hand, I can go with Tailwind. On the other hand, I could go... try to counter their Trick Room. See, if they wanted to set up Trick Room, what would they do? Lead Paradox Jigglypuff and Indeedee, most likely. It's not a great game for Dragonite because of Psychic Terrain. We can't get Extreme Speed off. If it's Trick Room, it's probably Indeedee. Paradox Jigglypuff. And Paradox Amoonguss could come out as well. Fake Out is less viable here because of Psychic Terrain as well. This does lower their defense. I'm not a fan of this. I don't think I can actually really deny Trick Room. Could be just Chien-Pao Tyranitar, honestly. And it's like if they were to lead into Paradox Jigglypuff and we were to flinch with Rock Slide on turn 1, it's honestly probably a game-winning turn. Amoonguss in the back. Still bring Dragonite, but I don't know. This is a really tough matchup, I think. Because they have a fast mode and a slow mode, and I'm not really sure how I can cover for both here immediately. And I'd say generally the nature of the team we're using here, like we really don't like to go up against Trick Room compositions, because if Trick Room goes up, like we'll probably just get swept. Okay, it's Paradox Jigglypuff and Paradox Mischievous. Interesting. This is weird because they could go with fast or slow. Mischievous has photosynthesis here with booster energy, and it's a speed increase, which I suppose I don't love seeing. Oh, what do we want to do here? I don't know. I could see them going for like Helping Hand, Dazzling Gleam, or targeting the Tyranitar slot. I don't hate like Ice Cold Crash here and then switch Tyranitar out into Amoonguss. I'm just worried about like Trick Room going up and then Torkoal coming out. Okay, they just Dazzling Gleam, no Helping Hand. So get brought down to Sash. I mean, one of the counterintuitive things here was leading Tyranitar with Chien-Pao, but the idea was to just put on a lot of offensive pressure against really anything that they had. Ice Cold Crash does get the one-hit knockout, but like if Trick Room's going up here, I'm just in bad shape, right? Okay, they just Dazzling Gleam. I will gladly take that. I could have stayed in with Tyranitar then maybe, but I don't think that's really worth it. So now I get a free switch in. Got Torkoal in the back. I think I don't mind going out into Tyranitar here. We do have Iron Head with Choice Band. I don't know if that'll KO though. I would expect them to survive. Like, I like Tyranitar because I can potentially Rage Powder Dragon Dance right now or just go for a Rock Slide. Okay, they bring out their Paradox Amoonguss. Grass Dark. Or Tera Rock. I'm leaning towards Protect this turn, scout out for what they want to do, and then just Spore. That goes off. They just Rage Powder. Okay. And I guess they were trying to Trick Room. Oh, I'll take it. Although now I feel like I could have gotten a free attack off with Tyranitar. And no Berry either. Cool. Well, presumably their last Pokemon is Torkoal, right? Amoonguss is not really in a great position right now. But I think what we can do here is Rock Slide, switch out into Dragonite, and then just go for Priority Extreme Speed onto the Jigglypuff. Amoonguss isn't contributing anything at this point. I can't Spore the Paradox Amoonguss because it's Grass type. Choice Band Dragonite's going to come out. Rock Slide here for some decent damage on them both, honestly. Really solid. They go for Spore. Okay. This is going to be a close finish for sure. They do manage to just wake up, though. But they flinch! Oh my gosh. Okay. So they get a quick wake up, but they also flinch. Like, the odds of them, you know, me making it out that turn without Trick Room going up were fairly high. But as soon as the wake up happened, I was like, oh no. So that was pretty lucky. But yeah, now I'm down to Tera and Tera Extreme Speed. And with Tyranitar, we just have to burn a turn of sleep. I've got Amoonguss in the back, but Amoonguss, like, Amoonguss presumably here is going to be slower than Torkoal under Trick Room. Unless, like, yeah, because it's early on in the game. Not everyone has, like, a 0-speed IV Torkoal. In fact, we actually recently used the team with 31-speed IV. Okay, so here's Extreme Speed. Choice Band boosted. Beautiful, that's a KO. That's gonna faint. Okay, we take a turn of sleep. Amoonguss is probably sporing us here as well. Oh, they go for Seed Bomb. Okay. Oh, that was a disgusting amount of damage, though. Jeez. Well, this is where things get really interesting because it's Life Orb. Wow, that's cool. I mean, I know its attack is pretty high. I just wasn't expecting it to get a one-hit knockout onto Tyranitar. Very cool. Alright, Torkoal's the last one. So I think what this kind of boils down to is how fast is your Torkoal relative to Amoonguss here. This Amoonguss isn't min speed either, so I would expect Amoonguss to just outspeed and spore it. Photosynthesis, what boost are you getting here? An attack increase. It's so weird to go up against like a offensive, you know. I know that's just how it's designed. I'm just not used to it after going up against a regular Amoonguss. We should outspeed here, I would think. So, oh, but you know what? If they were Grass Torkoal, that would be gnarly. I am just going to Spore here in Extreme Speed. Okay. Oh, and they just Protect. Okay. Sweet. I would expect Choice Band Extreme Speed to just KO here. Especially given that it's more offensive. Paradox Amoonguss. Nice. That just gets the KO. So, yeah, it's interesting because my opponent's team has, like, the Paradox Mischievous. I think if they just clicked Trick Room on turn 1, by the way, they would have just probably swept me in this game. But it's a little bit hard to feel comfortable doing that when you have your Paradox Mischievous on the field, right? So, I think they could have been better off just hard committing to Trick Room in this game. Anyway, they actually ended up forfeiting. I feel like the game wasn't over yet. Like, oh, actually, yeah, if you know your Torkoal's min speed, then, yeah, you assume Amoonguss is just going to outspeed you and Spore you. And then, yeah. 2 Choice Band Extreme Speeds plus Foul Play is probably enough, but I hope that you all can see the power of this Choice Band Extreme Speed Dragonite is putting in a lot of work, and yeah, Dragonite hasn't really gotten too much of a chance to shine in previous VGC formats, so it's awesome to see it thrive a little bit more in this one. And I mean, this isn't the official VGC format, but it's cool to just see it have a lot of potential in doubles in Scarlet and Violet. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I hope that it has opened your eyes to the potential that Dragonite has in competitive Scarlet and Violet double battles / VGC. So, my name is CybertronVGC. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like on the video or consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me during this awesome time for both the channel and for competitive Pokemon. And huge thank you to Toshi once again for building the original team and for sharing it with the world. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.